Hello everybody, my name is Carl and welcome back to another video. Today we've got another three-way head-to-head. We've got the brand new released 9850X3D versus the previous champion 9800X3D and the slightly older 7800X3D. The system we use for testing contains an RTX 5090 and all CPUs were tested on the MSI X870E carbon motherboard. In the first half of this video we'll be doing a side-by-side of all the AM5X3D CPUs. Then later on we'll share our thoughts with the aid of some useful graphs. All games were tested at 1080p, so let's jump into the first one. Up first we have Marcus's favourite game, Fortnite, and we've got this running in the high preset. As you can clearly see, the 9850X3D does take a win here, averaging an extra 20 or so FPS more than the 9800X3D. The 1% lows are more or less the same between the two chips, but the 9850X3D is performing a little bit better. The 7800X3D is no slouch in this game whatsoever, averaging 324 FPS, but it's still quite a big difference between the 7800X3D and the 9850X3D. Initially, I thought this contest was going to be a lot closer, but in Fortnite, the 9850X3D is a decent upgrade. An extra 20 or so FPS is nothing to be sneezed at, but at the end of the day, pricing is what really matters. Next up we have Ark Raiders, and we've got this running at the high preset also. This game is a little bit more graphically intensive than what you might see from Fortnite, and as you'd expect, the difference between their CPUs is a lot smaller, with the 9850X3D averaging just 4 FPS higher than the 9800X3D, which is basically negligible at this kind of frame rate. The 7800X3D is a little bit farther behind, averaging 14 FPS slower than the 9850X3D and about 10 FPS slower than the 9800X3D. But what you will notice is that the average 1% lows shows a much bigger gap, with the 9850X3D averaging 30 FPS higher than the 7800X3D. So that will give you a much smoother and more consistent frame rate. Though let's be honest, with 1% lows over 200 FPS, you've not really got a lot to be worried about. Next up we have Cyberpunk 2077, and this is running in the Ultra preset. Like I just mentioned, with Ark Raiders being a bit more graphically intensive, they don't come more graphically intensive than Cyberpunk 2077. And this is where the difference between the 9800 and the 9850X3D is pretty much minimal again. We've got an average difference of 6 FPS, though depending on the scene and the time and who's on the screen at what particular moment, sometimes the 9800X3D is a little bit higher, and you can see that in the average 1% lows. It actually averaged slightly higher than the 9850X3D. Again, it's all about what's going on the screen at the time. Sometimes you've got more people on the screen, sometimes you've got more cars on the screen, but what is apparent is that the 9850X3D is looking a lot like a KS version of a CPU. A lot like what we used to see with Intel. You get the K, which is the unlocked version, and then you get the KS, which is kind of the cherry-picked, slightly boosted version. Up next we have Dragon Age the Veilguard, another graphically intensive game, and we've got this running at the Ultra preset. As far as average FPS is concerned, this is actually a win for the 9800X3D, and this is something you can probably expect to see in a few titles, where the 9850 and the 9800X3D are just so close to each other. And maybe on a different day at a different time, the FPS might have been slightly higher for the 9850X3D, but these are the results and it's more or less identical. What is surprising is just how far off the 7800X3D is. As an owner of a 7800X3D, I was expecting it to be a little bit closer to the other CPUs, but it's actually quite far off in this title. But I don't have an RTX 5090 to pair with my CPU, so I probably won't see as big of a difference compared to what we're seeing here. Next up we have a game that I really enjoyed on its release, and that is Hogwarts Legacy, and we've got this running in the Ultra preset. Running around Hogsmeade is one of the most demanding areas on the CPU, and you can start to see the differences here. The 9850X3D has a decent lead over the 9800X3D, averaging around 10 FPS more in both the 1% lows and the average, whereas the 7800X3D is really starting to fall off, averaging 150 FPS compared to 188 or 198 compared to the 9th generation chips. If you've already got a decent system with a 7800X3D, and you probably already likely have plenty of RAM in your system at the moment, and you're thinking of a new upgrade, maybe a 9850X3D could be on the cards for you. But don't forget, this is running at 1080p, and these kind of games you want to be playing at much higher resolutions, where the difference between CPUs becomes a lot less impactful. Next up we have Horizon Forbidden West, and we've got this running at the very high preset. And this is a title where all of the CPUs perform really well, and the difference between them is pretty minimal. The 9800X3D and the 9850X3D are basically trading blows. The 7800X3D is just a little bit behind, barely noticeable, averaging over 200 FPS. The 1% lows is a little bit bigger, with 145 for the 7800X3D and 160 or 162 for the 9th gen CPUs, but for Horizon Forbidden West, this is more than playable and much higher than the 60 or maybe even 30 FPS you might be getting on a console. Speaking of consoles, we got another console port here. This is Returnal running on the Epic preset with some ray tracing enabled. As far as average FPS is concerned, it's pretty much a stalemate across the board, with the 9850 and the 9800 X3D more or less identical once again, but the 7800 X3D just a little bit behind. Any of these CPUs is going to be more than sufficient for Returnal, but when you're putting a lot more load onto the GPU by enabling things like ray tracing, that is to be expected, and the gaps are likely to shrink between the CPUs. Of course, ray tracing does have a small impact to the CPU as well, but it's a lot more impactful to the GPU. So when you've got more load on your GPU, your CPUs are likely to perform a lot more similarly. Now, a title where CPUs don't perform similarly is Counter-Strike 2, and we've got this running at the high preset on the Anubis map. And you can see the difference between the top-end dog, the 9850 X3D, is nearly around 90 FPS more than the 7800 X3D. That is quite a big difference. The 1% lows is pretty consistent between all of the chips, but the 9850 X3D does take quite a comfortable lead in that department as well. It's not too much faster than the 9800 X3D, so realistically you won't be rushing out to upgrade your 9800 X3D to the 9850, but if you have a 7800 X3D and you feel like it's holding you back in a few titles, the 9850 X3D could be a decent upgrade for you. The only thing to mention though is the price. As of today, Tuesday the 27th of January 2026, the 7800 X3D is around $375 right now, and the 9800 X3D is around $450. And from what AMD have told us, the 9850 X3D is going to be coming in at $499. As we've just seen, the 9800 X3D can be quite a lot faster than the 7800 X3D in certain titles with a 5090. So for some people, it's worth that extra $70 or $80. But then the 9850 X3D is $50 more and only a little bit faster than what we already have. For others though, and depending on the games you play, as Marcus showed in our most recent video, sometimes spending the extra on a much faster CPU just isn't worth it, and sometimes you're just better off spending that extra money on a much faster GPU. But now it's time to get serious. Let's take a look at some graphs and see how it compares. First up, in Counter-Strike 2, all the 9th gen Ryzen chips take the lead, even with the 9700X managing to just edge ahead of the 7800 X3D, though the 9700X does have quite a bit lower 1% lows. A 7800 X3D would probably be a safer bet for a more consistent frame rate, especially given the huge variance when benchmarking in this game. Run from run, it varies wildly, though if you've got 5090 money, you should probably be looking to avoid any kind of bottlenecks and look at grabbing a 9th gen X3D CPU. Up next, we have Fortnite, and this was another good win for the 9850 X3D over its older brother, coming in 18 FPS faster on average than the 9800 X3D, and pulling miles ahead of the 7800 X3D, averaging 67 FPS more. In this title, the non-X3D CPUs just can't compete, and it's a real eye-opener to just how impressive the X3D tech really is. Next up is Hogwarts Legacy, and the gap between the 7000 and 9000 series X3D chips is seriously impressive. The 9850 X3D increases the gap even further, averaging 10 FPS more than the 9800 X3D, and when paired with the 5090, the 7800 X3D is showing its limitations in this title, and if you want to make the most of your GPU, this is a title that demands one of the best CPUs. Now, as we look at the next few graphs where the gap starts to shrink, let's take a more broad look at graphics, frame rates, CPUs, and even very importantly, monitors. In graphically intensive games, the performance gap between CPUs starts to shrink. As you increase the resolution or graphical settings, the workload shift heavily towards the graphics card, making the GPU the primary limiting factor, or the bottleneck. You probably heard that word before. Testing at 1080p is essential because it removes that GPU limit and reveals the kind of performance ceiling of the CPU. If the CPU caps out at 150 FPS at 1080p, increasing that resolution to 4K will never allow it to go any higher. It only adds more strain to the GPU, likely causing the FPS to drop. By benchmarking at 1080p, we aren't just looking at average speed, we're seeing the maximum potential of the CPU to handle game logic and engine tasks before it becomes the bottleneck. This kind of CPU ceiling that I've kind of made up is exactly where your choice of monitor is so critical. If you buy a high-end 240Hz or 360Hz display, but your CPU can only ever perform at a maximum kind of ceiling of 200 or 150 FPS, you'll never actually see the full benefit of that screen smoothness. Your monitor is capable of showing 240 updates per second, but the kind of brain of your computer, the CPU, can only think fast enough to see 200 or 150 frames per second. Does that make sense? Something that is important to remember though is that this CPU ceiling is entirely game dependent. Every game engine places a different kind of strain on the processor, and the graphics card as well. In a highly optimized esports title like Counter-Strike 2, the engine is designed for speed, allowing modern CPUs to reach 600-700 FPS. However, in a game like Hogwarts Legacy, a dense open world game, the CPU has to calculate a lot more things like kind of physics, characters, I guess AI, and just the worlds, which can bring that same CPU ceiling down to 150 FPS. It's not all about how pretty the game looks, it's about what else is going on at the same time. This is why you shouldn't just look at one benchmark for kind of one game. You need to check for the specific type of games you play. If your favorite game has a CPU ceiling of 130 FPS, buying a 360Hz monitor won't make that game feel any smoother, even if you can hit 600 FPS in other games. Don't forget, these results that we've seen on the screen are testing with an RTX 5090, which acts kind of like a magnifying glass for CPU performance. Because this graphics card is just so fast, it ensures that the GPU isn't the thing holding the game down or slowing the game down. Even if you have a much slower graphics card at home, these results show you the best possible performance your CPU could ever give you. It's the highest number you'll ever see from these chips before they simply can't go any faster, or you turn the settings to below 1080p, which we really don't recommend in 2026. Now there's no doubt, AMD can claim the title of the fastest gaming CPU in the world from the previous owner itself. However, performance isn't everything. Value is a key factor in what reviewers recommend, and CPUs like the 9700X and 9600X offer better value, which is why we recommend pairing them with a mid-range GPU. Whenever we talk about CPUs or X3D CPUs, people justify their purchase by saying they're future-proofing. If you're building a PC today, remember that the GPU almost always has a bigger impact on your immediate visual experience. If you're choosing a top-tier CPU like this $500 9850 X3D, the price of that could force you to choose a RTX 5070 instead of an RTX 5070 Ti. And as a result, you're losing out on significant performance right now in exchange for a theoretical benefit, years down the line. In most cases, future-proofing is only the best idea if you already have the best GPU you can afford. If your budget is tight, prioritizing the graphics card will almost always give you a better frames per dollar value in the games you're playing today. Who knows what will happen in 3 years' time? Your game might even get deleted and the servers might not exist anymore. But if you're one of the lucky ones to land a 5090 and you don't have a 9800 X3D, then a 9850 X3D should definitely be on your radar. In our test, the 9850 X3D on average performed 16% faster than the 7800 X3D, which was only a few years old. That's a big improvement. However, compared to the 9800 X3D, the 9850 X3D offered an increase of about 3% more FPS. To sum up, the 9850 X3D is the fastest gaming CPU you can buy right now. It's about 3% faster on average than the 9800 X3D in our test, while costing just over 11% more. It's basically a 9800 X3D with an overclock. And it reminds me a lot of what Intel used to do with the 13900KS and 14900KS CPUs. What I'm glad to see though is that the price isn't a crazy amount more. Intel launched the 14900K at $589, and then the KS came out, which was about the same 2 to 3% faster, but that was $699. Crazy. But remember this, prioritize your GPU for the visual effects, the monitor for the clarity and colors, and the CPU for stability. Most of the time, the biggest wow factor comes from the first two, not the last one. And whilst the 9850 X3D might look great in the charts, this is with a 5090. So if you're rocking something slower, you probably don't need a 9850 X3D. But what do you guys think? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Smash that like button and get yourself subscribed. And if you want to see a full build video with the 9850 X3D, that video should be out tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.